Could be anyone. It could be your friend. It could be his friend. It could be a in-laws. It could be the affair, extramarital affair, anybody. We will come back to on that question soon, and we will discuss on that. What is the single parents is all about? What's the journey is all about? Can we start with Mr. Guy?
Sure. Yeah. And if you don't mind, I'll just say, Pamela, it's very saddening to hear your story. So yeah, we'd love to talk about that more later. But yeah, being a single parent, in many ways, I found it liberating and empowering. It's because when the child is in your care, you're enabled to do whatever you want, and so it's a lot easier. You don't have to worry, do I have to sort of check this and make sure it fits in with so in some ways I find caring for the child, in terms of it's harder on the longer term planning stuff, choosing schools, all those things. But in terms of, what are we going to do for the next 4 hours or something? Actually, it's I think it's great, and particularly, one of the things that comes across a little bit from the questions we've had before, which I believe is important, is that kids are exposed to healthy masculinity, and I think it's, as a father caring for my child, where I'm just able to sort of make decisions without really worrying about having to sort of check with anyone. That it makes you, in some ways, it allows you to sort of project a stronger masculine sort of archetype, modeling. Essentially, I think you understand what I mean. So from that perspective, I've enjoyed it. It's in terms of the difficulties with being a single parent for me are in terms of the relaying with my ex. So that's it doesn't always have to be that way. Every situation is different. I wouldn't quite agree with the point that all relationships are just difference of opinion. I do think that that there are situations, and Pamela's seemed like that in maybe in multiple ways potentially, where essentially that there are some parties who have less authentic or genuine motivations and contributions, and so that can lead to more problems, and in my case, my problems are in terms of having to navigate things with my ex-wife, which is a difficulty. I mean, for me, I found the best way to deal with it is to try to go no contact as much as possible. So I've basically to the point where I archive her WhatsApp, for instance, and I might check it every week or two, to catch up on if there's anything. I do that even though I have shared care and control. So I have the child half the week, yet I'm unable to communicate with my ex-wife because of the dynamics of the situation. And that's a problem. But I think that it makes it better by minimizing communication. So that, I mean, a lot of people would say that's, you shouldn't do that, it's making it worse, but there's a lot of presumptions that underpin that, and ultimately in my situation, I think it makes it better and actually less stressful for the child as a result.
Thank you, Mr. Guy, so much. Let's hear from Akshata.
Absolutely. Yeah. So at least my experience has been that it's not an easy journey to be a single parent, because there are so many aspects of your life that you're trying to manage single-handedly, be it something happening in the school or in the society, at the office, at home, financially, emotionally, physically, everything is being handled single-handedly is not an easy job. Uh, but at the same time, I do believe that the quality of life has become much better than what it was during marriage, because now, though the life is not easy, it's a life of dignity and self-respect. So I would not trade that for any other comforts. I would have it this way. But the thing is, it's handling all these aspects that I just mentioned, be it financial, emotional, social, educational, and so on. The most delicate of it is the interpersonal relationship that we would have with the kids, because it's one person playing both the good and the bad cop to, trying to bring the child up in the right way possible. So it's a delicate balance to manage, and I've made sure that I keep my communication open with him. I talk to him about anything and everything under the sun, all the way to my personal things I very easily share with him, just with the hope that when he needs to talk, he can use that communication pathway as well, the other way around. So I'm happy to have established that, and I believe it's working. Uh, but having said that, there are other aspects of survival that becomes a little challenging for single parents, and I do work with several single parents, and we try to address these aspects together as a organization or as a community. I would like to highlight three of them which could be critical. One is technical skills. This perhaps may apply more so with women, where they do not have the technical life skills to survive. Say a light bulb needs changing, or a tap is leaking, or the child's toy is broken. They may not be exposed on how to fix it. And what we've had heard from them is that the contractors do not usually prefer to come in for these kind of small jobs, and even if they do, they have a minimum fees to charge. So this becomes a rather handicap for single parents who are not technically equipped. So we get together and we training single parents to become more independent in handling these situations on their routine, which is bound to happen in in every household. So technical aspect is one. Second will be informational. It's very critical, especially with children around, to be informed, what course is important, what university is suitable, all sorts of, it's too much of information overload around, and it's perhaps may be difficult for a single brain to comprehend or digest all of it. So they may be lacking, there may be gaps in their knowledge which may hamper in them taking certain decisions for their children's well-being. So we are bringing in a discussion group where each parent voices their concern. It could be as silly as how to fix the cycle brake, all the way up to how to handle a teenage issue, how to handle which university is suitable for my child single-handedly. So we bring together these kind of issues in our discussion groups, and we bring different point of views which perhaps the single parents can take away, which perhaps may help them. And the third, and perhaps the most important, is social. Even in the modern and educated or liberal societies, we have seen a lot of social ostracism against including single parents or their children in social circles, be it celebrating festivals or birthdays, or these kind of get-togethers. We personally have experienced it, where uh, we have friends of decades worth of friends have kind of isolated us, and they bluntly told us that we are uncomfortable having you guys in our family get-togethers because you don't qualify as a family anymore. They can be as blunt or as insensitive as that. So perhaps that's one of the biggest obstacle that that people consider while trying to break out of an unhappy relationship, is what kind of social ostracism they or their children will be subject to. My son had no idea why he was not being invited to birthday parties of friends, and he used to feel very bad about it, saying, "Oh, they've been friends with me all these years. Why have they stopped inviting me to birthday parties?" It could be as sensitive as that. So we're trying to address the social awareness and inclusivity of single parents. We're trying to bring something called, see, there are consultants or counselors. it's not it's not really what the single parents are looking for. They're looking for more of a friend whom they can talk to, a listening ear is much more helpful than a counseling, uh, uh, preaching, or so on. So we're bringing together a friend circle who are absolutely unbiased and who welcome single parents in that social get together, festivity celebrations, and activities for the kids, absolutely with open arms. So I think these are certain challenges which perhaps a person who's not in a situation may never understand, but these are real situations and hardships being faced, and we're trying to work together on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Akshita. Yes, and now let's hear something from Mr. Janak.
Single parenthood is maybe a bit too broad a term, because some, like Akshita and Pamela, that ex-husbands have passed on. In a case like Guy and myself, and we have ex-wives. But I think in terms of parenting a child, I think that's the best thing you can ever have, whether it's single or not single. I give an example. I mean, like what friends say, you don't know how to fix a tap or a bulb or the bicycle brakes. But I think the answer lies in, maybe you speak to your kid. Do you know about it? I don't know. Do you know? No, you don't know. Let's go find out. Make that an enjoyable ride. Really, because I think that journey needs to be really enjoyable in whatever you do. It's stressing. It's
Curiosity,
really stressful.
curiosity of
You don't
having.
have, yeah, you only got 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
You have work, you have a child, you have their trauma, which is their temperaments, which you have to deal with. And well, they are young, they're naive. So that's a lot to deal with, but it can always be made a beautiful journey. What you don't know, let's go do together. Doesn't matter. I didn't know about certain things. I didn't know a lot of things. I looked at my son and said, do you know about it? I don't know, Papa. Let's go find out. Okay, let's go. And that makes things fun. Even though fixing a tap, electricals, he doesn't have to touch the electricals. Just hand me the screwdriver, the red one, the blue one, the green one. Put them all together, red, blue, green. Okay, that's it. It has some fun. Be part of an engaging time with your kid. That's what it's about. That single parenting becomes a lot more enjoyable, a lot more meaningful, a lot more deeper. And that's the bond that you create with your kid. Whether it's like what Guy said, you got 4 hours, or how you spend it, that's how you create the bond with your kid. It doesn't have to be on a roller coaster ride. It could be the simplest things. When my son was 10 years old, he still made me feed him. He didn't want to eat alone. He wants me to feed him. He wants me to carry him. He wants me to shower him. I have to do that. So be it. Okay, let's go find out. That's the best thing I can tell my kid. Enjoy that. I think we will share the time with our
Mr.
friends.
Janak, you're right. Actually, yes, definitely. I agree with you that, there has to be a motivation, there has to be a excitement in bringing up the children together. Then you don't have time much to think about yourself, you see.